been making this case for international cooperation very powerfully and, to my mind, persuasively. There is right now in Washington a very different mood, which is to say it's China that is to blame for this.
All I can say is wherever it came from China, in whatever form. 184 countries now are suffering because of it. And it's too bad, isn't it? And it could have been solved very easily. When it was just starting, it could have been solved.
Internal documents reveal how provinces in China delayed implementing the highest level of emergency measures. Reasons were: at the end of 2019, Taiwanese health officials started to screen all passengers flying from Wuhan weeks before other Western countries. They were alerted to the threat by these 3 screenshots from Dr. Li Wenliang, the whistleblower from Wuhan. At the end of December, he wrote on Chinese social media, "There are 7 confirmed cases from the Huanan seafood market. They are being treated in isolation at the emergency department of Hohu branch of our hospital." He also attached an inspection report and chest x-ray results. The second screenshot, the inspection report, reads SARS coronavirus. The third screenshot is the Wuhan CDC's reaction. Dr. Li wrote, "The Wuhan authorities have not decided whether or not to make this public. Another hospital in Wuhan has confirmed it is SARS coronavirus, but the genome sequencing company BGI did not dare to report it." He added his department reported the issue to the Wuhan City CDC. When people from the CDC did reluctantly come to check, doctors said it's not the flu, it's some unknown disease. A Taiwanese netizen saw the screenshot online the night of December 30th and shared it to a Taiwanese chat room. The original post was then deleted by Chinese authorities. A doctor in Taiwan saw this and reported it to the Taiwan CDC. In the early hours of December 31st, the deputy director of the CDC went online to check and became alarmed. On the same day, Taiwan started to screen passengers from Wuhan. It also told the WHO Wuhan was treating 7 cases in isolation, implying human-to-human transmission. This was 20 days before Chinese authorities admitted human-to-human transmission was possible.
You've been following this very carefully. How would you respond to the charge that, look, the Chinese covered this up, they've essentially deceived the rest of the world, and as a result, they should be held in some way responsible for this?
Well, I don't think that's a timely thing because it doesn't affect how we act today. China did a lot of things right. At the beginning, like any country where a virus first shows up, they can look back and say where they missed some things. Some countries did respond very quickly and get their testing in place, and they avoided the incredible economic pain. And it's sad that even the U.S., that you would have expected to do this well, did it particularly poorly. But it's not time to talk about that. This is the time to take the great science we have, the fact that we're in this together, fix testing, treatments, and get that vaccine, and minimize the trillions of dollars and many things that you can't even dimensionalize in economic terms that are awful about the situation that we're in. So that's a distraction. I think there's a lot of incorrect and unfair things said, but it's not even time for that discussion.
You've worked a lot with the WHO over the years. What do you think of the charge that they didn't push back hard enough, or maybe were even complicit in China doing a certain amount of deception? And
WHO, that's the World Health Organization, receives vast amounts of money from the United States. They've been wrong about a lot of things. And they had a lot of information early, and they didn't want to, they seemed to be very China-centric. They called it wrong. They called it wrong. They missed the call. They could have called it months earlier. They would have known. It's a great thing if it works, but when they call every shot wrong, that's no good.
Do you think the WHO is culpable?
Basically, no. I mean, in the retrospective, we'll see things that WHO could have done better, just like every actor in this whole picture. But the WHO has a strong connection with one country. That country is the United States. The number of CDC people who are there, or people who used to work for the CDC, there's no UN agency more connected to a country than WHO is to CDC. People think WHO is funded to do all sorts of things that their tiny little budget doesn't let them do. So they're a thousandth. Their budget is a thousandth of what's spent on healthcare in the U.S. They don't invent vaccines. They don't understand vaccine factories. But what they do is very, very important. The eradication of smallpox, the progress on polio eradication. It's a phenomenal organization that we're more dependent on them today to drive things than we ever have been. And so, we need to support them, help them, and, at the right time, think about, for pandemic 2, how should all of us do a lot better?
You have been caught up in this controversy where you and Dr. Fauci are the targets of a certain, kind of right-wing campaign saying you guys are in some way part of a conspiracy. Does it bother you? Does it affect the way you need to do your work?
Well, it is. There's a certain irony that, having put a lot of energy into trying to warn about this vulnerability and not getting much investment to be made, sadly, I always think, how could I have gotten the message out in a stronger way? Where did I fall short? Because only 5% of what should have been done was done. The irony of having that person be accused of creating the virus, seems a bit strange. I don't know that a meaningful number of people believe that. It does kind of get amplified. There are people who want to view this through a political lens, not a scientific lens, and that can lead you to some strange views about let's not speak the truth or look at the real numbers or compare countries in a rational way. But hey, we've got to get our heads down here and look at these therapeutics. A lot will fail, but some of the ones that are less celebrated, I'm very hopeful for.
Bill Gates, always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. That was great.